like Kobe would have went out shooting the ball 40 times, like trying to win. That's what was not. I didn't see that in him, and that was a little bit disappointing. You pick up your mic, talk.
Hello. That even happened with when the Celtics in like 09 or 2010 lost to the Lakers. Paul Pierce jacked up like 50 shots.
Yeah.
That night.
Keep talking.
Hello. What's up?
Let me see. Try it again.
What's up? Damian Lillard, hello.
What about
Me
now?
and James, we can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. We need everybody to find ways to be better.
Interesting. The volume is lower on yours for some reason, but I don't know why.
Should I talk louder?
Try to talk louder, but it's fine. Anyways, welcome back to the Michael Lenoci Show. The Mike Lenoci Show, and I'm here with Anthony, and we were just actually discussing Embiid.
Yeah.
What's going on with Embiid? People think, well, first of all, we watched the game together, and we were like, he wasn't. We were just saying like Kobe or Tatum or Butler, not sort of LeBron style, but they would have shot their way. Even if they were losing, they would have shot the ball 40 times and tried to get on track. It seemed like Embiid was.
Yeah, we picked his over too. He's just MVP.
We picked his over because I thought thought that he would be like, listen, even if he plays bad, he'll shoot enough to score 30.
Yeah.
And that's what you would hope with a superstar. Maybe he was. So the thing is, I think he's frustrated. He's not playing well. So he's like, I don't want to lose the game for them. Hopefully someone else will step up. But like you saw with Maxey, that guy was just like, I'm going to try to score every play.
If I'm Maxey, I'm pissed after that press conference. He's what they're going to build around in that team. And he says, so after the press conference, Embiid said, me and James can't win alone. That's why basketball is played 5-on-5. Everybody need to find ways to be better. And he scored 15 points, 5 for 18, 0 for 4 from 3. Didn't even get 10 rebounds. So it's like, how can you say that?
Yeah, as if it was everyone else's fault.
Yeah, you got to.
What did Harden have?
What?
What did Harden have?
Harden didn't have double digits. He had 9 points.
You're out. I was telling you, I was like, dude, how can you say Harden's a first bid Hall of Famer? Because he has 1 MVP. He has 3 scoring titles?
3 scoring. Yeah, but it's.
I don't know, man. I just say, is he top 5 shooting guard of all time?
No, you'd rather have a guy. See, he put up 40 twice this series. You'd rather have a guy put up 26, 28 for 5 to 6.
That's what games, he did put up 2 40-point games, but then all the other games he was a no-show.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah,
bad
you'd rather have
too.
Consistency.
We as a Celtics fan, I took both of their overs because you would think it's going to be a dogfight. The Stars are going to come out in Game 7.
You got to blow it up.
Yeah.
I don't think blow it up. I mean, listen, as a Philly, as the GM, you're like, all right, we're keeping Embiid, but you got to move on from Harden. Who do I got Maxey, I got Harden. I got Maxey, I got Embiid, and I got to try to bring in another superstar.
Every Philly fan saying the process is over, and the process is around Embiid. So. Do you trade Embiid for everybody and keep Maxey and build around Maxey? I mean, Embiid, after what he said, the Philly media is tearing him up already.
All right, fine. But, okay.
So it's like he's going to wake up one day and be like, I don't want to be in Philly.
All right, Brown for Embiid. Would you take Embiid? Yes.
Yeah.
100%. That would lock you in.
Yeah, you're right.
So, like, that's stupid. Like, I understand what he said. You can come at him. You could be. They're upset. They're frustrated. But this guy... It's a learning process, sure, but he's also lost to very good teams, but I'll take him.
Yeah, but he doesn't have that, we were talking about earlier, he doesn't have that gene because, dude, he even said before the series, he goes like, they said, what do you think about this rivalry with Boston? He goes, it's not a rivalry. We can't ever beat Boston. So even that, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan would never say that. That's not like a winning.
Well, if you can't beat him, join him.
Dude, that'd be
all
sick.
right, how about this? Embiid can't be a 1 then. Can he be a 2?
Of course. Yeah, he's a great,
That's why I said if let's say Damian Lillard, I don't know what's going to go on with him.
Yeah.
I remember he put that thing out saying, "Hey, if we are not, I'm not in the place where I want to be a part of a rebuild."
Yeah.
So if they decide we're going to rebuild and ship him off for some picks and young guys, I feel like a perfect fit would be you have Lillard with Embiid.
Yeah, exactly.
I might pick them over the Celtics next year.
Yeah.
No matter what happens in this upcoming
Maxey?
series and what happens in free agent. Well, obviously we don't know what's going to happen in free agency. There's so many changes. But as of right now, Celtics, Cleveland, Knicks, and Miami are still going to be playoff teams next year. And Philly even if they got rid of Harden and it's
Yeah.
Maxey and Embiid, still playoff teams. It's still the same 5, but now who's adding or losing someone to secure the number 1 seed? Or Milwaukee, I can't believe I'm forgetting that.
Right.
Like Milwaukee is a top 3 team regardless of what happens, and it feels like they would make a move for someone.
I mean, does Harden any possibility he goes to Milwaukee and Middleton gets out of there? Middleton
I don't
didn't
want
do
that.
shit.
If I'm Milwaukee, I don't want Harden.
Really?
Nah.
Then who do you want?
I saw
'Cause
enough
Middleton
from
can't
Harden.
do
I
it.
don't want Harden at all. If I'm a contender, I don't want Harden. If Harden wants to come off the bench and be a 6th man from now on, that's his role. What is he, 35? How old is he?
He's 33.
Harden's 33?
Yeah. And Embiid's 29, dude.
Harden's only 33?
Yeah. He turns 34. He turns 34 in August.
So he'll be 34 next
34.
year. What's Lillard? I think he's
is-
34.
No way he's 34. He's 32. So he'll be 33.
I want
He'll
Lillard.
be 33
Lillard's
at
got
the start of
3-4
next year.
years.
Yeah,
Lillard's-
Harden's going to go back to Houston, dude, and just they're going to rebuild. He'll be the guy in Houston. They'll be the 8th seed.
I
They'll
don't
get
want
eliminated
if
first
I'm
round.
if I'm I don't want him. Like unless he's just a catch and shoot guy, which he's not.
Like a Clay almost.
Yeah, if he was like Clay, I would take him on LA. I would take him on anyone. But like, also, doesn't he have a big contract still, or is his contract done?
His contract's pretty big. It's ginormous. His
so they're gonna release him, or
he has
done?
a player option, so he can choose to stay or leave. His
Why would he not take the player option then?
dude,
He's not gonna get that offer. So they're gonna if he would
Bro.
have to take the player option and
his
then
player option's $68 million, 2-year deal.
I think that he obviously takes the player option financially, and then they would have to trade him. And
Yeah.
someone takes him for 1 year because why would he, as a businessman, he's not going to get that money anywhere else.
Team up with Ant in Minnesota, but somebody
Minnesota, do not.
Somebody told me that Ant doesn't want to stay in Minnesota long term.
Oh, that's awesome. Come somewhere big.
You think?
Come to a big city. But if I'm Minnesota, I'm like, dude, I'm moving out from Cat. I'm building around Ant. But if he said that, he's like, I don't want to be here long term. That just sucks as an organization that you can't keep a superstar.
Yeah, but it's also Minnesota. Like OKC couldn't keep Durant just because it's OKC.
But they had him for 8 years and one finals appearance. I think two Western Conference Finals appearances, maybe.
Yeah, two.
Well,
yeah.
at least 2, but maybe
Yeah.
3. I mean, they had their chances. LeBron stayed in Cleveland long enough. Listen, it's different if the guy plays 4 years and leaves.
Yeah,
But if a guy plays 7 years, you got to make a move to get to the finals because if you get a championship like they did with Giannis,
yeah,
then he's like, okay, I'll stay
Yeah,
because
you're
we
right.
can do it. But Giannis needs another. Drew Holiday got dominated, so they need to
Yeah.
add someone.
who's the big man's Brook Lopez too. They don't even have. I mean, he's good, but they need more of a supporting cast.
Well, it's
around
hard. You
Giannis.
can't like put like Cat with Giannis,
You're right. Yeah.
can you?
No, because Giannis is.
You got to be
Kind of a
kidding
big
me with this dog out there.
Yeah, but dude, Harden's got to get. The only way I see him going anywhere, he'll want to go to a contender, but there's no contenders. You're right. There's no contenders I would take him.
No, there's
He'd
no.
have to go to the
there's no way.
Spurs or the Rockets. Those are the
I'm
only
not-
teams I could see him going to. He has to go to the West. He can't stay in the East.
Well,
Who's
why
gonna
does he?
take him in
Why
the
does he
East?
have to go to those 2 teams?
It's those are the only teams that I feel like he needs to be the guy. He can't be a number 2, dude. He needs. We saw he could be the guy whenever he wants. He could score 30 whenever he wants.
Well,
If
he
he's the
wasn't.
guy.
He wasn't even close this game.
But I think that's because he's in his head about he has to get Embiid the ball. Game 1, bro, he was 45 without Embiid. Easy, like it made it look easy. If he has full reign to do whatever he wants,
Yeah, but you got to. He's been in the league long enough to know, like, all right, Embiid's a little struggling here. But he couldn't make any. What was he from outside? Like 0 for 4. Like he didn't score. He scored 1 3. Did he even get 2
3 for
threes?
11 from the field and 1 for 5 from 3?
That's what I'm saying. You can't be 1 from 5
Yeah.
and be have a scoring title on your resume,
Yeah, you're right.
and you go 1 from 5 outside. You don't have it either. I think we've seen the best of Harden, and it's in the past. I think if I'm Philly, regardless of what the fans are saying, you build around Embiid still. The guy's 27, just
Yeah.
won an MVP. He could win
29.
another MVP in the next 4 or 5 years. He has a chance to be dominant. You have Maxey. That opens it up for him to feel confident. And if there's a guy who wants to be like a small forward that wants to come in, you got to dump Tobias.
Yeah, you're right. But what about CP in Philly? I could see
I don't
that.
want a 39-year-old player.
But he's you're just in a facilitator guard that is okay with playing that role. You can pass it to Maxey, dish it to Embiid, and then you get a guy not Tobias but kind of like Tobias. Like
here's the thing. Well, imagine if you had Ant
like
in Philly.
bro,
Imagine if you had Ant and Embiid and Maxey
that'd be crazy.
and Paul.
Yeah.
The thing about Paul is, man, he has a little bit of that no show sometimes in big games.
But
and he's 39. I don't know. It's like Lowry on the Heat. Yeah, he's great for the vet shit, but like I can't depend on this guy to score 20.
No, but Lowry's different than CP in the sense of like, dude, CP's 39. He needs a ring. He's gonna go.
Lowry
got a ring 2
Lowry's
years ago.
36.
But he got a ring 2 years ago.
The only thing with Lowry is like Lowry's like a guy like, okay, the Lowry experiment failed last year. This year it's kind of working sometimes.
Yeah.
If he gave us one outstanding game against the Celtics, you're like, it was worth it all.
Exactly.
And it was worth it all.
Since they have Gabe Vincent and other guys that play well, you don't need – sometimes I forget, like, oh, they got Lowry too. They don't need Lowry to step up.
You just need Lowry to be a Hall of Fame player because he is a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So if you could take Chris Paul, but it's a 1 year thing. I don't think it's a long-term thing.
1 or 2, yeah.
I think you got to have something outside of Maxey. Maxey plays shooting guard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I still think you need a point guard that – because you have basically Harden playing the point.
Exactly. I think
I don't know, man. I just think that it's an overreaction to blow up. Like, okay, what do you want to do, Philly? Here, look at the East. For the next 10 years, it's Giannis's league. Clearly, it's Tatum's.
Yeah. Giannis, Tatum.
Butler's 33, so there's a couple years
probably
there.
Donovan Mitchell.
Heat always find a way to get someone. Donovan Mitchell and Cleveland, depending on what they do.
Yeah.
The Knicks have a young squad, depending on what they do. And then you also don't forget about Trey, who clearly is a superstar. The way he plays in Atlanta, he shows up in the playoffs.
Yeah, he does.
He goes even. So what I saw from Trey was like, okay, he's not Curry-esque yet, but he's enough to where like you put him. That team's good. If they had Embiid on that team, they would be contenders.
Yeah.
If you added a big man there. But
they got Clint Capella's a good big man. They need like a good small forward almost. Like DeJounte Murray's a great shooting guard.
He's great.
But it's like
he showed up a lot too.
Yeah. I honestly think
they could turn into a young Golden State team if they built it correctly.
Yeah, but they need a small forward guy.
Someone up or a power forward, someone that's great. Or even like
they need like a Mikal Bridges from the Nets. He's great, dude. The Nets are going to build around him. If they build around him, the Nets will be great.
Yeah.
But going back to Harden real quick, dude, I think he's got to take on like that Carmelo Anthony role. Like Carmelo just
100%.
bounce around from team to team. He's a scorer. He's just a scorer. Like he can't be the guy.
No, I don't want him. I'm just saying if I have an organization, I don't want him. Why would I want him?
I'm saying like he could go to the Spurs or the Rockets, a team like that,
That's fine.
and be the guy. But if you want to go to a contender, I mean, could you see him in OKC? Back to as a sixth man.
I don't want him in OKC either.
There's no
because
looking at these teams. There's nowhere he can go.
You're expecting if you're OKC, you got to make the playoffs next year, no doubt. Or you're like, what are you doing,
bro? What about
you have to make the playoffs? Assuming you even have Chet coming, whoever you're going to draft, you have literally one of the top 5 players in the league now already.
Bro, what about Mavs? Harden to the Mavs? Play with Luka?
What he's coming off the bench. Luka plays shooting guard.
Luka's a point. Luka brings the ball up.
I guess he.
You look at all these teams, dude. There's no teams that. I mean, he'd either have to be the guy, go to the Pacers, be the guy, go to any team and just be the only guy.
He would love to go to Atlanta, but
I don't think.
Yeah.
DeJounte's a shooting guard, kind of, right? You have to go to like the fucking Raptors, the Jazz, the Wizards. There's not many teams that.
I would take
the Hornets, dude. Play with LaMelo.
Maybe. Let's see how that. There's a lot of young talent, but we already know the dominant East guys are going to be Giannis, Tatum, Embiid, wherever he is, assuming he stays in Philly, regardless of Harden being there or not. I would be shocked if Harden stays. Like, why would you as Philly? You're like, listen, we need a guy who can also pick up the slack if Embiid, for whatever reason, was in his head, something happened. But like, I want a guy who's like, even if you shoot 0 for 10, at least he's trying. Yeah. Not a guy who's like, all right, how many shots did he take, Embiid?
Embiid, he took in the last game he took 18 shots.
I mean, so what was he?
He was 5 for 18 from the field, 0 for 4 from 3-point.
So I mean, 18's a lot of shots actually.
That's a lot of shots to miss.
Yeah, but I'm saying so he wasn't it wasn't like he wasn't trying.
But
he
look
just
at
choked.
all his other games in the
I think it's
series.
just-
That was the least amount of shots besides game 2 in the series that he shot.
True. Because he was obviously in his head being like, well, if I keep doing this, we're going to lose. I got to hope someone else steps up. And let's go. That's his his mentality is why I need other people to step up.
Yeah.
And that could have been a shot more at like Harden.
DeAndre-
Hey, like Harden, what are you doing?
Yeah. Well, that guy Melton took more shots than Harden and Embiid did in the game 7.
Well, Harden is really the biggest concern here. He took 18 shots and was missing him. I think what's his name deserves a lot of credit.
Who? Embiid?
Horton.
Horton?
He deserves a lot of credit. This is more on Horton stepping up and playing. What is he? He's been in the league 16 years.
Who?
And being a vet, Horton, like he literally dominated him. Horford, sorry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
He deserves all the credit for this because he did take 18 shots. So I was thinking because I feel like we were watching the game, it just seemed like he was like giving up a little bit.
Yeah.
So he was mentally because he's like, all right, he got in his head. He's a kid. What is he? 27?
He's 29.
29?
Yeah.
All right, that's a little older, but still, he was in his head.
36. Yeah.
He was in his head. He was like, listen, if I keep shooting, we're for sure not going to win. So I'm going to try to facilitate the ball, get rebounds, which he didn't even do that.
But dude, they were lethal against the Celtics whenever they'd win with the pick and roll. Harden and Embiid with the pick. The Celtics couldn't stop it. They didn't do it once yesterday. So it's like.
I mean, does Doc get fired? We'll see.
I mean, there's no reason Horford guarding Embiid should have 3 blocks and 10 rebounds. I mean,
it's an extremely frustrating game. We were all thinking it would at least be a close game.
2 steals. Yeah, you're right.
So that was extremely disappointing. Let's get into the matchups.
Yeah, dude.
We'll stick with we're in the East, so we'll stick with the East. Yeah. Now, this is where you have to be good, man. You have to not think as a fan.
That's why it's tough, dude. Because I do, as a team, I like the Heat. I rooted for the Heat the whole playoffs. So it's like but.
Do you think it goes 7 games?
Yeah.
You 100% think it goes 7 games?
It's going at least 6. But the thing is, dude, it's going to be tough to close the Heat
it's not
out at
gonna
home.
There's no way they're going to win 4-1 against the Heat.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying it could go 6. The only thing that's tough is it's going to be 3-2. Celtics going to Miami.
6,
The Celtics are about 3-2 in Miami, and they got to close it out in Miami. That's what if they can't close it out, then it's back to Boston. So it's like they got the home court advantage, but the Heat have the momentum. So it's gonna be tough.
There's no way
it's gonna come down to a last shot.
There's no
Tatum
way
versus Butler, dude.
There's no way it's 3-2 going back to Miami with the Miami up 3-2.
Nah, no.
If Miami wins this series, they win 4-2.
You think? You
If
don't think they can win in 7?
For them
you don't
to
think
win,
Butler can have a game in 7?
He could, man, but that fan base gets going, dude, and it gets it gets the players going.
So does Miami, dude, and you know.
But
then again, the Celtics kind of came through in Philly a few times this series, and that's a crazy fan base.
We had home court last year.
Yeah, you're right. You guys had the 1 seed last year.
We were up 3-2, weren't we?
Yeah.
And then you tied it 3-3, and then you won Game 7, right?
Yeah, and that happened both series last year, Heat and Bucks, for the Celtics. So that's what I'm saying. The Celtics are kind of good playing from behind like they did with the Sixers.
And we had the ball with plenty of time left, down 2.
Yeah. And
I still, to this day, I like that he took the shot, but I thought we were playing so well. We came back. Let's go to OT. It was like a 3-on-1. And I remember Horford was on Butler, and he stutter steps back. So Butler had a wide open 2, but I knew he was tired.
Yeah.
And he just shorted it. But if that went in, it's literally one of the most historic shots of all time.
Yeah.
What a difference it would have made. And then we would have got I do believe we would have lost to the Warriors.
You think? Well, yeah. But
they were on a mission to like, hey, don't forget about us. That was a weird 3 years that we didn't win.
Yeah.
But let us get our one more. And and I don't think you count them out necessarily.
Well, that's the thing.
The Warriors going forward, I think there'll still be
Yeah.
they'll do something. But this series, as a Heat fan, I think they should be able to go 7 games because of Spo.
Yeah, you're right.
Because of Spo, and I think that Butler is the player who will be like, all right, if I have to stop Tatum for a game, I will. and he'll cover Tatum. And then you just got to – I don't know who covers Brown, though.
But that's the thing. Brown would probably be guarding Butler.
Okay, but then, like, who covers Tatum? Like, you know what I mean? We have one guy that I know could shut down someone, but I don't know if we have two guys.
That's why it's going to be tough. But you got to – that's the thing.
Because,
with
but
the
then,
Heat, it's a tough
because
team.
you know, Horford on Bam.
But that's what I'm saying.
If he could do it against Embiid, he could do it against Bam.
Yeah. I'm nervous about these close games, though, because it's like you're right about if Butler hits that shot, Heat win in overtime. Celtics passed this last year 4-7 in overtime. They don't win in overtime. Like against the Sixers last game, they were deflated in overtime.
Yeah.
Like Celtics don't. So those close games comes down to it, dude. That's why I'm nervous about the Heat, because you got Butler, but then you get Strus in the corner. You toss it to Strus, he'll hit a game-winning three. The Celtics.
Who wins game one?
Celtics win game one. If the Celtics lose game one, it's bad. Like that's.
It doesn't matter. It's just splitting it. It's split. It's game 5 that matters. It's splitting both.
The Celtics lost game 5 though against the Sixers, right?
Yeah.
And the Heat lost game 5 too against the Knicks.
Well, we were up.
You were already up 3-1.
We were up 3-1. So yeah. We have to win. We have to. You put me 2-2 with 3 games left.
2-2.
I like that. I'll take that. Let's just fast forward to that. You get me 2-2. I want to see Butler. Butler's going to have another 50-point game if we have a chance at winning this series.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, because he didn't do that at all against the Knicks. But I feel like because he didn't have to, because he was playing Giannis, so he had to put up that 2 40-point games and a 50-point game against Giannis and them, because it's Giannis and that team was a championship caliber team. Yeah. With the Knicks, I felt like he was like, all right, I think Butler's a little bit like a LeBron, where he's like, all right, let me figure out what I have to do this series.
Like load managing games.
Load managing it, like getting other players.
Yeah.
Although he was like, you know, and then sometimes he's off. He was trying to take over that last Knicks game, and he kind of was missing some shots.
He was bricking a little bit. But the thing about this series is both teams. I don't like the Sixers were kind of embarrassing. Some of the games that they lost, Sixers weren't great. Knicks aren't a great team. So it's like I think both of these teams are going to be a little shocked coming in. Like I think the Heat and Celtics are both so much better than the Knicks and the Sixers. You know what I'm saying?
They know each other so well.
And they know each other well. That's the thing, too.
It's basically the same teams. There's no different. Yeah. It's really, like, it's the same exact starters on both ends. For the Hero was coming off the bench.
And you got Brogdon, yeah.
You got Brogdon, which is the, you know, and we
man.
Don't have Hero, like unless he magically can come back for Game 7.
You think he comes back Game 7?
I mean, that's 2 weeks away, but probably not, you know. But like, why not? It's not like an injury where if you rush him back, he could ruin his career. We're not talking about legs here. Yeah, it's two broken fingers. It's like, hey, if you think you could shoot the ball better than Duncan, then go out there.
It's his right hand.
Yeah, but it's his index and middle finger, which is like, you know, aren't you really shooting with your palm?
No, you're shooting with your fingers. If you're a good shooter, you're shooting with your fingers.
But you tape them together.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I would assume by Game 5, they see if he can take shots.
Yeah.
But I don't think listen, is he going to come in and score 30 and he's the reason we win? Probably not. So I say you count him out, but he's there for the finals because he's going to be like, well, who cares? Let's try.
Yeah. Do you think
it's 4 to 6 weeks? It's been 4 weeks right now.
Do you think the West or East? Like who do you like?
I think whoever wins the West wins the finals.
You think?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, first of all, like you said, this is the funnest Lakers team we've ever seen. Or the funnest LeBron team.
Most likable. Yeah.
Likable.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You're right.
I mean, obviously, the Heat teams were amazing. It was almost like they were just throwing the ball across the court.
Yeah.
And it was just so fast. It was like, I honestly think that team could have beat all the Warriors teams, too.
Speaking of throwing the ball across the court, dude, that's the Heat. You got Kevin Love to Butler.
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Like, that's half, like, that's.
We have two guys that have won championships, and they know what it takes to win. And then you have Butler, who's been in the finals, but so has Tatum. And then you have Bam. So there is a lot of experience. There's more experience on our team, actually. With Lowry and Love.
Lowry and Love, just because they won, yeah.
Well, Love's been to 4 finals. He's won 1.
You're right. And
Lowry's been to 1 and won 1.
Yeah.
And then Butler's been to 1.
But it's just every single player on the Celtics besides Brogdon was in the finals last year.
Yeah,
they're
but every single player on the Heat has been to the finals 3 years ago.
Gabe Vincent too was there.
I don't know if he was. I don't know if Strus and Vincent were on that bubble team.
They were not. You're right. Strus
because we had Crowder, we had Duncan.
Duncan played more.
We had Josh Johnson, was like that power forward.
Yeah.
And then we had a different center. I forgot what center we had.
Honestly, dude, with the guys you just named, I like this Heat team better than the bubble Heat team. But that was a shocker, though. Were you shocked when the Heat beat the Celtics in the bubble? That should not have happened, right? Like that was.
No, I saw that it was a team of destiny.
For real?
I was like, I forgot. Well, we were a high-ranked team. We weren't like, this is the 8th seed team that came in.
Yeah.
We were. Who was the 1 seed? Milwaukee?
I think so, yeah.
It was Butler's first year.
With the Heat, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Milwaukee was the 1 seed. Miami was the 5 seed. Boston was the 3 seed.
Huh.
That's interesting.
Who was the 4 seed?
Indiana. They got swept by Miami in game in first round.
They had what's his name was playing great that year. He was and he's like a no-show now. Where is he? Did he go to Phoenix or something? He was like their leading scorer. He had a couple 35, 40-point games.
TJ Warren. He had a crazy bubble. Yeah, that was insane.
He had a crazy bubble.
You're right.
Who was the 2 seed?
The 2 seed was
Atlanta. No.
Who's the 2 seed? Oh, Toronto.
Oh yeah,
they had a great year.
Yeah, they still had their team
Siakam,
besides.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
then they got beat
Brooklyn.
by who?
Boston beat them in 7 in the second round.
Oh yeah, we were okay. Got you.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why it's like the Celtics are used to these game 7s, dude. Like last year, it was they had 2 game 7s. They've already had 1 game 7 and 1 game 6.
I mean, the fact that they're major underdogs is a little disrespectful
The
towards
Heat?
Butler. Yeah.
Did Butler respond to your DM?
No. That would be funny. I DM'd Butler. I go, fuck this. This is your time. Whatever.
Wow, dude. Miami won in 6. I thought it was 7. Jesus.
We got
And then you lost in
we got
6.
2 Florida teams too in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, that's insane. That year too. Wow, dude. I forgot. You guys beat Milwaukee in 5, same as this year.
In that year?
Yeah, in the semis. So you swept Indiana.
That team was good.
And that, wow.
Hero was playing great.
Yeah, you're right. That was kind of team of destiny, huh? And
Yeah.
the Lakers.
And then we lost in 6.
Lakers
4-2.
ran through that playoffs.
4-2.
And that's a similar Lakers team in the sense of LeBron and AD.
It was LeBron and AD and what's his name who was on Denver. Who's on Denver, which I think is a big
KCP?
piece.
You like him a lot, huh?
Yeah. Well, I'm just seeing like he's a big part of why they're doing well. Like he comes in late and hits some big shots. He plays great defense. Porter plays great too.
It's the energy.
Dude, Denver's scary. Let's just get into that. Could Denver win? Yes.
Yeah.
I think both of these series go 7 games. And I just think that
Wow.
Denver, if they get there, man,
Because they're just such a complete team, huh?
they just their guy who is like on and off. So both of those teams have a guy who's on and off, and that's Murray and AD.
Yeah.
Both teams, they have a guy who can just go off, and then sometimes he doesn't show. But so all of these teams really have that guy. The only 2 players that are consistent are Butler and
You can't say anybody else besides
Jokic.
Brown. Brown's consistent.
Brown. Fine,
Yeah.
Brown, Butler, and
Jokic. Yeah.
because he doesn't have
You're right. Yeah.
bombs. But right now, AD does. LeBron has some bad games, but then other guys are picking up the slack.
Gordon.
Austin Reeves has been almost consistent.
Aaron Gordon's kind of consistent for them. Aaron Gordon.
Portland's Porter's played way better. Like in the bubble, that Denver team was good.
Yeah.
But Porter was the reason they didn't beat the Lakers. He kind of fell off big time. And he had that. He was like, I want the ball more. There was something like that.
Yeah.
They also didn't have Aaron Gordon.
You're right.
But I don't think their bench goes as deep as the Lakers.
You're right. But they got tough guys like Bruce Brown. He stepped up big against the Suns. You watched that game 6?
Yeah.
He went for 20 the last 2 games.
The Lakers have Walker.
Yeah, dude, that's my favorite player. And in the league.
Here, it's kind of come
Jeff
down
Gr-
to
they got-
AD versus.
Yeah, but the Denver bench it's kind of sneaky because they do have DeAndre Jordan and they got Jeff Green, who's tough off the bench. They have
DeAndre, but has he even played a minute?
He's played some minutes in the playoffs. Yeah.
He's just rebounding.
Yeah. And then they got Reggie Jackson, a little spark, and then they got that guy, that white kid, Christian Brown, who's like 20 years old. He comes in. He came in and played tough on KD. Dude.
Do you think Denver wins?
It
just seems like it's
Yeah.
destined for LeBron
Yeah.
to get his fifth.
You think LeBron wins?
It's just it's like we LeBron fans, and I'm one of them. We want him to get his 5. Okay,
yeah.
Does he get 6? That's probably unlikely. But like if he gets 5, it's like Kobe had 5.
Yeah.
Magic had 5. Magic really had 4. 1 was or 2 were with Kareem. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's one of those things.
It just like solidifies the GOAT thing for me if he gets 5.
And this is the year to do it, dude. You got KD and Steph are already out of the playoffs. All you have to do is get through.
Well, the
Denver?
fact that he went through Curry too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
It's just like
that's not going to happen again. You know.
no. I mean, the only way it happens if like again they run it back with his team. I assume they'll lose a lot of these players, but like again, we don't know what's going to happen in the offseason. So many players move around.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if he doesn't get it this year, it just seems like
I think
AD's always going to be what AD is. Just like this guy who's like he's not going to AD will never win later on in his career unless he's with another superstar. He's not going to be an MVP talent. Like he just doesn't seem like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not going to be in the top 5 MVP voting anymore. He missed his window.
Why is that? He seems like a lazy guy. He's more talented, I'd say, than Jokic and Embiid.
I don't know. That's why I want to interview some of these players and be like, so what is it? Like, are you like? I want to ask a player like, is there a difference between LeBron and Tatum? Like, are they both doing as much work as each other, and then it's just genetically gifted? Is that a real thing? Is genetically gifted a real thing, or is it one guy is just working harder than the other? Like, is that what it is, or is it like no, they all work as equally as hard, and then there's just this magic thing? Is that a real thing? Is there magic?
I saw this interview last night with Dante DiVincenzo on the Warriors.
Yeah.
He said, you see that? He said, like, being a young NBA player is the hardest thing in the world because you're playing G League games and you're playing NBA games at night and you're working, you're first one in, last one out. Everybody is. And then
wait, he said what?
He said everybody's the first one in the gym and last one out. All these young guys.
In G Leagues.
Yeah, when you're like first get drafted, you're like on the fringe.
Yeah.
So he says, like, these stories you hear about guys getting big in the NBA saying, I was the first one and last one out. I was like, everybody is. One of those had to pan out. So it's like everybody's working their ass off. It just it comes down to luck and talent and opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's like.
So that's what it is.
Yeah. It's
like I find out, like, obviously LeBron has his routine, but, like, is he working way harder than everyone else? Like, I feel like Tatum's just working just as hard.
Yeah, I think so too. You're right.
You know?
But I think these guys, you got to find what works for you.
Like, I've heard stories about Butler's work ethic.
Good?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see it. Well, yeah, obviously. And then,
like, Hero told a story when he got drafted. He texted him. He's like, yeah, meet me at the beach. And then they were at the beach in, like, Chicago or something, like, doing workouts and stuff at, like, 5 a.m.
Well, like this year, because Tatum got kind of burned out in the finals last year, he changed his whole routine. So before every playoff game, he does a 45-minute workout. He brings his chef to the facility on the road. So he's changed up his diet and the way he handles his body for these late
starting
runs.
to do what LeBron does.
Yeah.
After watching that last game, I firmly believe that, like, oh, this is going to be the next guy that wins a couple championships.
Yeah, but when you said natural talent, doesn't Tatum look like a guy who's just naturally just more talented at basketball than
he just looks a little thicker than Kobe is what it is. But I remember
thicker?
hearing early on that he trained with Kobe. Kobe was his favorite player, so he is like, I guarantee you, if we, the thing they did with Kobe and Jordan, I feel like in a few years you'll be able to do he's gonna emulate a lot of Kobe's moves. They are a similar style player, but he's 6'8", right?
Yeah, and
he's 2 inches taller, and that little spin switch ball to your left hand layup, that's a Kobe move all day. That's not even a Jordan move. The fadeaway thing, he does a little bit too, like Kobe and Jordan. Yeah. But his layup thing is identical to Kobe's.
Yeah.
When he does that spin switch to the left-hand layup thing, and he's longer than Kobe. His
longer.
wingspan is way bigger than a 6'8". So, and then his release is not as high, but almost as high as Durant's.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
but when in the playoffs, when Kobe's getting these 50-point games, I don't think he's also getting 15 rebounds and 5 assists like Tatum did. Like Tatum's playing a complete tough game, and he's guarding the biggest.
The only thing I'm worried
guy.
about is ego. If he can stay humble.
Yeah, you're right.
Because he had a post-game thing where he's like, I'm one of the best 5 players in the league, and then
humbly he said. But yeah, going back to real quick, we were talking about the Nuggets Lakers. I think that's the best coaching matchup, and I think that's what it's coming down to. These last few series is coaching. I think there's some kind of shitty coaches, and Darvin Ham and
Spo's going to definitely out-coach a 34-year-old.
100%. I think Celtics coach is the worst coach in the playoffs remaining.
I don't know much about the coaching aspect of basketball, but
that is why I think this goes 7. The Celtics, I think, are more talented and
like
they're
it's just
a better team. But
coaches
Spo's
are
a great
basically
coach.
known for just drawing up plays and making adjustments, right? It's not like a head coach of a baseball team or for instance, a coach of a baseball team is really just a decision maker.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like, hey, here's the lineup.
Yeah.
How long do I leave a pitcher in? It's not. I wouldn't say it's easy, but I'm saying of the coaches, I feel like a baseball coach is the easiest.
Yes. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So, yeah.
It's like, here's my rotation. You stick with your rotation for at least the top 3, stay the same the whole year.
Yeah.
Barring any injury. And then the other 2 are like, what bullpen guy is competing for that 5th spot, right?
Yeah.
So then it's just like, did I leave a guy in? Do I think he could get out of this inning? Or most of the position batters are in the same position unless someone's struggling. You'll move them against a guy that gets walked a lot or something.
Matchups, yeah.
Yeah, but like football, I think is a leadership thing. You have coordinators really doing like the offensive coordinator does not talk to the defensive players. He's literally only looking at defensive film to see how he can match up against a defense. Defensive coordinators are literally watching offensive film to see what advantages they could take, and they're talking to their only players. And then among their defenses, they have specialists for linemen, linebackers, cornerbacks that will take them in separate rooms.
Yeah.
Everybody is only working with 5 to 6 guys in football, and they're doing the X's and O's things.
Yeah.
And then they come back to the coach, and they're like, here's what we have. And the coach is really just like, here is the final decision maker. But he's really a leader, and he has to manage 52 people. So I think that's hard, and there's so many players.
Yeah.
Whereas basketball is coming up with the actual plays, but so is football. But a superstar can make your job a lot easier. I would say football is the hardest.
The hardest, yeah. But the Celtics coach, Mazzulla, doesn't make adjustments, and he isn't a leader. He's a player coach. He lets the players run the team, and he doesn't drop any plays. Do you see them ever?
So then, what is he doing?
They don't run plays, dude. At
So
the end
what
of
is
games,
he doing
doesn't
then?
drop plays. He doesn't call timeouts. You saw he should have called timeout against the Sixers
Because
in game 4.
they said he likes to let them go.
He lets them go, which is
what does he do then?
nothing, dude.
Well, how does he? So you're saying we could do as good of a job? He's got to do something.
Yeah, you're right. But he doesn't draw up plays is the big deal. That's why Celtics fans are
sure
pissed.
He doesn't draw up plays?
Yeah,
like he has no ideas?
And you can tell.
What did he play? Point guard?
He played point guard. He played at West Virginia. He grew up. He was like the best point guard in high school in Rhode Island too. So he was like a great game. Just he knows basketball, but he's a nerd.
An instant guy.
He's an instant guy. You watch
like
the
where
Celtics
Spo
last
is an
year.
X's and O guy.
Yes.
Literally knows how to draw up some of the greatest plays ever.
Exactly. And you watch the Celtics last year. All the announcers were talking about is how great they move the ball. They don't move the ball like they did last year. They kind of play through Tatum a little bit too much.
Tatum
now.
was cold last night. They still win because Philly was even colder.
You're
at least
right,
they were
yeah.
playing defense.
So that's we talk about managing egos. I think he doesn't know how to manage egos, and he kind of lets like the whole Smart and Brown thing. He goes, "You have to talk to Smart." It's like Ime Udoka would have gotten their face after timeouts last year.
Yeah,
and Mazzulla just doesn't do that.
Well, that's what we have to look forward to. Let's just get into before we go too long. Let's get into the NFL now.
Yeah.
Now that we have pretty much most offseason moves are done, although there's rumors. I've heard something about Delvin Cook. It doesn't make sense to me, so I don't trust it. But I've heard that he's possibly going to be released.
I saw something today. They're looking to trade him.
That's what I said. I go, why would they release him? But a lot of these teams know.
Yeah.
They're like, well, why would we trade for him when we know that you're going to release him?
Yeah.
So I think there's like a stalemate here, unless there's a team going like, oh, shit, we need to try to get him before someone else does. And then the rumor being that Miami could still go after him.
Yes,
It doesn't make sense to me because now we have a huge running backs room. But I'm like, whatever. If you need a power back, go for it.
They like that guy, too, that new guy you're talking about. I forget his name, but I just saw it. They were...
Achun?
Yeah. Devin something. Yeah.
You saw an article about that?
I'm saying they said it's a big addition for them. And
he's fast, but, I mean, you add Delvin Cook, then you got a power back, and you don't have to use him a lot. He only has to touch the ball 12 times.
Yeah.
Imagine having Delvin Cook run the ball 12 times, and then you got these speedsters to run outside plays and to play as pass catchers. That would be great.
Yeah.
Not that you want to talk about that because, you're going to have a bad year.
All these contenders kind of already have their running back,
All right, we're going to do our first preseason playoff prediction based off of here. Listen, before we get into this, and just so you know a little bit about Anthony, he's a Boston guy, obviously, and he's a Patriots fan, obviously. So just you need to know that so you can decide whether or not you like what he does in the AFC East. But here's how I'm going off of my picks. And we are going to rank all 30, but that would be too long. So we're just doing, I put my division winners and the wild cards, who I think are going to be the wild cards. All right. And here's how I did it. Basically, every year, statistically, for the last 20 years, there's at least 3 new playoff teams every year. That's just how it happens. You can take that into consideration, but if we're betting and there's a gun to my head, I'm not necessarily going to do that, but I am going to go based off of not the draft because I don't know much about the players, and then you're kind of hoping on luck. I'm going to go based off of who added the best free agency players and what I think they did last year and if they were trending up or trending down, and, that's what I have to go off of. I can't just say, well, I think this is going to happen because I want it to or I feel that way. So let's start with the NFC before we get into the AFC because then we can be a little bit biased. Okay. I think we with the NFC East, I got to give it to Philly. Just, it's the defending NFC champs. I saw that it seemed like they were going to get worse, but they got better. I think they won in the draft.
Yeah.
So I got to pick Philly.
Who's their running? They got a huge running back too, right? They just got like one of the best running backs.
They added.
They're going to be amazing this year, right? I think they're going to have
drafted one.
Oh, they got DeAndre Swift, dude, from the Lions.
Oh, from the Lions. Yeah, the Lions situation was weird. They got rid of both of the running backs. And I also thought Jamal Williams was like the heart of the team. But they drafted the first running back in the draft. They got that one guy. Yeah.
That's weird though that their running backs were like the heart and soul of their team.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. I thought that was interesting. I thought that Jamal Williams, he was the one in the Hard Knocks, like crying, like I want to win, and like I just thought that that doesn't seem like a Campbell thing.
He had the most rushing touchdowns in the league last year.
Yeah, I thought that was weird, but he is on the latter year of his career.
Yeah.
So, but I got Philly winning the division, and I got actually who we're talking about. I got Detroit winning the division. I got Detroit winning the North.
So do I. 10-7.
You got Philly winning the division.
Yeah.
And you got Detroit winning their division.
Yep.
All right, and then the South. Here's my interesting one. Just because of obviously I got to throw in. There's always going to be a different team, but the trending of how they played and their offseason moves, I'm going with it because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Because, all right, first of all, I know Tampa Bay has a good offense, but I think we've seen what Mayfield does.
Okay.
And I think he'll have some great games next year, but I also think he'll have some bad games. And I think he's a mid guy that can be a bridge quarterback. And I think that Tampa will be happy with him. Yeah. But I also think that coaching room and that thing could totally blow up.
Yeah.
Tampa could all of a sudden just blow up and go horribly south, and they fire the coach and they're drafting a quarterback next year.
Yeah.
That could also happen. So I had to keep that in mind. So I didn't want to put them in the playoffs.
Okay.
Now, Atlanta, I feel like we could all agree is a total rebuild over there, even though they run the ball a lot and they drafted a running back, but they're going with Ritter. I've never seen him. I can't put faith in something I've never seen. So I'm assuming they are actually going to go back into last place again.
Okay.
You know, although they have a good offensive quarterback, maybe they improve and maybe Tampa's worse than them.
Yeah.
And then it comes down to the Saints and Carolina. Carolina almost squeezed themselves into the playoffs. The Saints have been good defensively. But they got 2 years ago. They were a really good defense.
Really good, yeah.
And they almost made the playoffs. I just don't see it happening again this year. And I think Carr's okay, but I think he's another Mayfield, and that's why I got to go with Carolina, bro.
Wow.
I think Carolina. They finished the season 7-9. They're adding a better quarterback. Yeah. It's not like their quarterback was a good quarterback last year. They had Darnold, then they had who else? They were flip flopping all around there.
They started out with Mayfield.
Stayed up Mayfield, but then they had
the guy from
who's the third guy that
they had a guy from like the XFL.
Walker.
PJ Walker.
PJ Walker was throwing there, and they went 7-9, and we're a win away from winning the division. And now you're adding arguably the best quarterback in this draft. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's going to have growing pains for sure. Yeah. But they have a great wide receiver core. Who's the running back?
They got they got rid of DJ Moore, their best wide receiver.
Yes, but they added Thielen.
You're right. Yeah,
and they added defensive players, and I just feel like
Hubbard.
What?
They got Hubbard running back.
He was pretty good. He got injured last year, but he was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think that I just think that division's soft, and there could be one of these years where we see a surprise quarterback like, oh, he leads them to the playoffs.
Yeah.
If it's gonna happen, it's gonna be that division. And the way that they have rebuilt this team and for their rebuilding year to go 7-9, I expect a big improvement where I feel like the Saints are on the verge of imploding like the Bucks.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean Carr is going to have a bad year. He can still have a good year, but their defense isn't as good as it was.
You're right.
I could be very wrong about this. I could be the Saints, but I just wanted to go with Carolina on that one.
Dude, after I liked Carolina, but after seeing a little video from minicamp, I didn't realize how small Bryce Young looks in the NFL, dude. I mean, I don't know, but you're right.
Mayfield's small.
He's skinny, dude. He looks frail out there almost.
He looks like
looks like a little kid.
Devontae Smith.
Yes, yeah. And I got the Saints 9-8 winning the division, but I have everybody in that division within 2 or 3 wins.
So I mean that one's up for grabs.
Yeah,
we make it a little bit fun. I mean,
but you're right about.
I feel for the Saints that they easily could win, but I had to go with Carolina on this.
It's one of those things that, like you were saying, every year there's either a sophomore or like a rookie quarterback that kind of blows up, like Kyler Murray one year, like Jalen Hurts last year.
And it doesn't mean
that
they
could
stay
be Bryce
a
Young
superstar.
this year. That could be Bryce Young this year.
Yeah,
right.
and it doesn't mean they stay a star. I mean, listen, I also believe, and we'll get to it later in the AFC, one of these star quarterbacks is going to kind of like, okay, and we'll get to that. And then in the West, I got to run it back because of how successful they were with just what happened in their quarterback room. I got to run it back with San Francisco because I think at least now they have the best 3 quarterbacks they've ever had, even with Sam Darnold there now. Because it's like, to fall back on Sam Darnold if Purdy's not ready, or even if the thing is, even if Trey Lance is mediocre, I think he's good enough to win games in that system, and they can do some magical things. I don't think he's going to throw 4,000 yards. I think he throws for 3,500 yards, assuming he stays healthy, and that's the type of offense they have there. Or that could be a quarterback rotation.
Yeah, you're right.
It could be.
Bro, George Kittle said he's never seen anybody throw the ball as good as Sam Darnold. That's what Kittle said. So they're pumped on him. But with Trey Lance in that system...
I think Sam Darnold starts game
Me
one.
too, dude. But if they do go with Trey Lance in that system, he could add a little flair to it, and then they'd just be unbeatable.
I think you kind of push him in slowly. You do little options and stuff. Why not? And then if Purdy's there, he's ready to go.
You got to kind of give it to Purdy, though, right? Because he led
if
the
he's
team.
ready in time, I guess. But I don't. Why? If Darnold looks great,
it might be one of those things where in December he's starting again.
They also, they also might be like, they also might go with Darnold to be like, let's see how he runs it the first 2 weeks, because they can use the excuse of like, we don't want to rush Purdy back.
Yeah. Then
you bring Purdy back, but also at the same time, is Trey even going to be ready? To you could option him. We don't know what's going to happen there, but my whole thing is I'm not worried.
No, yeah.
I still think with their defense, they should be the favorites to win the NFC East.
Yeah, I have them.
The NFC total. But now the wild cards gets interesting. I'm putting the Rams back in there.
No, dude, really?
Why?
I think they're getting
Are we
6
assuming
wins.
that Stafford's why Stafford's had over almost a year off?
A year off?
Well, I mean,
Oh,
he
'cause he
didn't
was
play
hurt.
that
Yeah,
last month. He barely played in the beginning of the year. So it's like, all right, you still have – I can't – Rich Eisen says this a lot.
Okay.
I can't have Cooper Kupp and Aaron Donald on a team and think they're only winning 8 games. I can't have arguably one of the best offensive players in the NFL and one of the best football players in history not make the playoffs, at least at a 7 seed.
Yeah.
I think Seattle drops down, and we saw, that was a cool run last year. It was like any other team makes a little run. Arizona could arguably be one of the worst 4 teams in the league next year.
They got rid of
What's his name's gone for the first 6 games.
the Rams defense. They got rid of all their guys besides Donald. They got rid of Wagner. They got rid of Floyd. They got rid of Ramsey.
All replaceable.
You think all those guys? Those were besides Donald. Those were the 3 best defensive players. So I mean, they.
I don't think he comes back to rebuild. I think he comes back because they think they can compete.
Okay.
The coach.
Well,
Otherwise, he takes the deal and goes into the media, like Gruden.
yeah, but you forget that before he got hurt, he was struggling. Stafford, he wasn't doing well.
Well, he was forcing him. He was rushing himself back with an injured shoulder. So it's like they were like, oh well, let's see, and then they're like, shut this down.
Yeah.
So he's coming back. I assume he's going to be ready to go.
They
If he
have-
struggles, he struggles. Sure, but I'm just saying, I'm not taking anyone in the South to make the wild card.
You're
It's
right.
one team, right?
But-
and I'm not taking anyone in the West. I'm not buying on Seattle. I
You're
think
not?
like
I like Seattle. Dude.
you think Geno Smith is all of a sudden going to be a Pro Bowler every year now?
I think he's going to be just a guy that they need, and they got DK. Who else they got? They got another
Another
great
wide receiver, yeah.
wide receiver, and then they got that running back's coming back that got hurt.
PJ or
Penny.
Penny.
Yeah,
no,
he's great.
But they got the one of the
yeah,
rookie of
PJ,
the years. He's going to be the guy.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker's
yeah,
the guy.
he's awesome.
But I understand that. But Arizona, we know, is going to be in a rebuilding year.
5-12.
I just go, if I have to pick a team that I think is not going to repeat themselves to a playoffs, I'm going with Seattle. I think the Rams, listen, for how bad it was last year, and then they went, 5-12?
5-12.
You're not giving them 4 more wins and putting them at 9-8, which is an easy 7th seed in the NFC.
That's a good point. I knew you were going to have that too. I have them 6-11, dude. And all these rankings.
One team
having-
improvement, a
having
1 win
lower.
improvement. You think
Dude,
the defending the 2 years ago they won a Super Bowl, and you think they're only winning 1 extra game with their with a genius head coach, with.
is he genius anymore, dude? I mean, like.
They just said he's losing the locker room because maybe his attitude and it's old school. But listen,
Uh-huh.
I'll put Minnesota back in there. That's my other wild card team.
Okay.
All right, I got Green Bay. I can't bet on Green Bay because I don't know.
No,
I don't
yeah.
know what that's going to be.
That's a guy who could go off though randomly, you know.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to bet on that. Gun to my head. And then also, Chicago. That's one could be excited. But do I think a wild card? I rather have? I see Chicago more like, they surprise everyone and they go 8-9, right?
Okay.
Because he has a great year. But I'm not putting anyone else. I will give Minnesota a playoff card, but definitely not Chicago or Green Bay. Definitely not anyone in the South. Definitely not Carolina. So you could argue Seattle.
Dude, you're forgetting. But you're forgetting the East. I have.
We
I
haven't
have
even
3
got there.
teams.
I haven't even got there yet.
Okay.
I'm arguing those first 3 divisions.
Okay.
The only one you could argue with the Rams is Seattle. My point is, you can't argue Green Bay, you can't argue Chicago, you can't argue anyone in the South, and you
Yeah.
can't argue. Do I think 3 teams come from the East again? No.
Dude,
There's no way. I think Dallas implodes.
You think? Bro,
Someone's got to. You think New York is? I think the coach is great. I think what they got going on there in New York is great, and I have them as the other wild card. But I think out of Dallas and New York, one of them's not going back. Who do you bet? You betting on a 4-year coach McCarthy who's kind of run himself out of the league. He's old school coach, not going to work. We're not sure about Dax anymore, but we got a new coach in New York. They built a new culture there. It seems exciting.
Yeah.
Daniel Jones played good enough. He's a better Tannehill.
You're right.
I'm
That's
just
good.
saying I'm more excited about the Giants than I am Dallas. So I would bet Washington. I think he's out of there too, unless I don't know what in 5 years I don't see how he keeps his job after this year.
I have this being the best division in the NFL. Like Eagles 11-6. I think they're going to go slow start a little bit, but then I have Cowboys, Giants all making the playoffs, and I think the Commanders are going to be 8-9. I think they're barely going to miss the playoffs. I think that's going to be the best
So
division.
you just have the same exact playoffs as last year.
No, I think the Lions are going to win the division, and I think the Vikings are going to get the wild card. I don't think the Seahawks are going to make it. I think they're going to go 9-8 and have a good season, but I think they're going to just miss it because the Vikings are going to have a good season at 9-8, and I think the Giants are going to be
So
either
you
10
think
and 7, 9 or 8.
Dallas is like, okay, when it's been kind of pushing like, hey, who's going to be the coach for
Dallas?
I mean, it's
They like McCarthy, dude.
yeah.
People like, and I think it's one of those things where like they feel the pressure. Obviously, there's so much
Yeah.
pressure last year, but I think they got
So
to
you
do
think
it.
Giants-
CeeDee Lamb's getting better. They got a good squad.
So you're betting on LA to not do good this year.
Yes, correct.
Okay. You're betting on LA not to do good, and that's basically it.
The
You
only
think
team-
San Francisco's the West Division, just all tanks, all 3 teams except Seattle.
I think Seattle will be 9-8, but I think the Niners are going to be the best team in the NFL. I think they're going to get at least 12 wins.
All right, that's fine.
I think Niners are going to beat up on most of that division.
Okay, just selling.
But going back to the Giants, you were talking about the Giants. They had a great team, and they added Jamison Crowder, Darren Waller. So
That's
these
why
guys got so many weapons.
That's
too.
why I have them in the playoffs.
Me too. Yeah.
So I have them so that's why I'm saying like you think Dallas in that tough division. That's all right. You're
They
gonna
did
give
it
them a
last year, too.
split against those 2 teams. They're gonna lose 2 to one of those 2 teams.
Dallas is Dallas, dude. They figure
They
they
also fuck up.
fuck up, but they also figure it out.
They're due
sometimes.
for a coaching change. They're due for a
think?
firing of a coach. The only way he doesn't get fired if he goes to the playoffs and wins a playoff game again this year. You know what I mean? Like they won a playoff game.
Yeah.
Dax is like the question mark. He underperformed. He played horrible.
Yeah, but here you go with the Giants is, yeah, they have a great team right now, but no way Saquon stays healthy 2 consecutive seasons. I mean, it sucks to say, but
I'm not betting on Saquon as the reason they are successful though.
I mean, he was great for them last year.
Did they add a running back too?
No, but they got one of the best defensive backs in the first round.
And they added a wide receiver too, and they got rid of
Jamison Crowder and Waller. And who else did they add? They added
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, are you kidding
Darren
me?
Waller, bro. Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited about the Giants.
Yeah, me too. And Giants.
So basically, we all agree Philly, Detroit, and San Francisco are the top 3 teams over there.
Yes.
I think that's exciting for Detroit fans that you're the 3rd best team in the NFC right now.
Yeah, of course.
Because we like Goff.
We like but
We're not high.
Campbell,
so the whole
dude.
reason we're not giving Minnesota the division because nobody's high on Cousins. You're higher on Dak than Cousins.
Yeah, dude.
Tomorrow,
Well, I
you
have-
get
I have
one
them- I have
season.
them
You
at the
get
same-
one
same
playoff
record.
run tomorrow. Whatever team you want. All right, you have all 32 NFL teams, right?
Uh-huh.
You have 32 NFL teams.
Yeah.
Take all the quarterbacks out of those 32 NFL teams.
Okay.
Plug in Dak or Kurt to any of those teams. Who's the best team in the NFL?
I mean, you got to say the Niners, right? If they have Dak Prescott or if the Niners had Dak Prescott, they're the best team in the NFL, right? And that's an easy answer, but
Over Kirk Cousins in Cincinnati or Miami.
no.
Who's got the most talented roster?
Out of all of it, you can't put either of those guys in the AFC is a quarterback conference. You know,
But
no
there's
team needs
quarterbacks.
those
There's
guys.
no quarterbacks. You only have 2
Oh, there's no
quarterbacks left. Dax or Cousins. Who do you want and what team?
I want.
I mean, I think you put Cousins. I'd rather have
No, I want him
Cousins.
in the
I'd rather have
AFC.
Cousins in Cincinnati than okay.
I'd want Dak in Miami, dude. Dak in Miami.
I'd rather have Cousins in Cincinnati.
No, Cousins. Why?
Well, listen. Before we should finish the AFC predictions, but I
NFC,
will
yeah.
say before we get into it, what are some of the most talented rosters? I would say Miami, Cincy, Philly,
Yeah,
and then
and Niners.
Niners.
Yeah.
So those are the 4 most talented groups. I would say with the best wide receivers and best players defensively and utility players. So those 4: San Francisco, Cincinnati, Miami, Philly. Maybe Dax in San Francisco works better than Cousins.
Yeah.
But maybe Dax works better in Philly too. But I would say Cousins in Miami or Cincy is better because he's passing to all those guys. He's a better quarterback.
He's got a better arm. I think Dak's a better quarterback. I think Cousins got a better arm in general.
Yeah.
But
It's a toss up with those two
It is
guys.
a toss-up.
I
That's a
just
great
think that,
question,
I
too,
think
but yeah.
the thing is they're both like, oh, they could get to the playoffs.
I think
I'm
Cousins
not
has.
thinking they win. I don't think either of those guys can win an MVP.
Dude, Cousins has a top 8 arm in the NFL. He's one of the best arm. But
He's been consistent.
I think
it's
he's kind
just
of a
not
pussy,
winning.
dude.
He's doing. You know what he does? He's Joel Embiid in the playoffs.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So
he's fragile too.
I think that. All right, let's get to the AFC. We'll start with the East. I'll let you go first because I want to see.
So I think this is a weird one. I have
This one's the hardest division
It's
to call.
I have the Bills at 10-7 winning, and then I think every other team is going to be 9-8, and it's just going to be a toss-up between.
And none of them make the playoffs.
No, one of them is going to make the playoffs. Only one.
So who did you pick?
It's the.
I want him to say
I have
it
the Dolphins
because then we have.
I have the Dolphins, but I do want to make it known that the Pats, I think, are beat the Jets twice. So I think they're going to be over the Jets.
I think that's.
But I do the Dolphins is contingent upon Tua staying healthy, which I do think he will stay healthy.
But that's the thing is that's where I knew you were going to come in. I go, well, I can't. We didn't do that with any. You can't assume injury.
That's why I X'd over the Dolphins. So
that's why I'm like, that's what I did with the Dolphins. I go, I'm not going to assume injury for anyone because, like, all of a sudden, like, if we're going to assume injury, I could be like, all right, Baltimore's not like the playoffs. You know what I mean? Or
you're right, yeah.
I could do that with Cincy. Oh, there's going to be a freak accident, and what's his name tears his ACL again. They don't make the playoffs. So the only thing you can assume is regression. I think that's fair to assume. Regression of a player, regression of a coach. And that's why I did that with Dallas. I go, I think it's time that Dallas is like, we've seen the roof of Dak, and we've seen the roof of McCarthy. So I'm going to put progression into the Giants and their coaching staff to win. And I don't think I guess you could argue that about the Rams of regression with Stafford. But I just feel like
but the thing about the East is there are three teams with immense pressure on them. I think the Bills, Dolphins, and Jets have a ton of pressure. I don't think there's any pressure on the Patriots. I think three of those teams are going 9-8 though, and the Dolphins are going to sneak in at the end. But I don't think they're going to be massively better than the Patriots or the Jets. I don't think Aaron Rodgers didn't have a great year last year, and I think he has a pretty similar team.
Here's my argument for this. All right, here's what I have. And this is going to shock people, but I'm glad we have it on tape. I have Miami winning the division, and it's not because I'm a Miami fan. Okay?
But how could you say that, dude?
Because I think from what I've watched this in the league for a lot of years, and it's ebb and flows, right? Outside of Peyton Manning and Tom Brady, who we're talking about are always going to have cemented themselves as top 5 forever. I don't think they could get pushed out of top 5. I think you could win 5 Super Bowls and Peyton Manning's still not out of top 5.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like he's cemented in. All right. And then Breeze is just outside the 5.
Okay.
You know, which right now he might be 5, but he will be outside of 5 because Mahomes is going to be a top 5. He's already clearly not there yet, but he's cementing himself to be a top 5. But I think that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning are 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know, I can't argue for those Montana fans. I'm like, I don't care that he won 4. Peyton Manning would have won 7 if he didn't have to play Brady.
Well, you just said that the Niners have the best quarterbacks they've ever had right now. You said that a few minutes ago. I don't know if you said that.
No,
on purpose.
I meant like in this run with Shanahan,
okay.
not in history.
Okay.
No. I'm talking about this is the best quarterback room they've had in the last 4 years.
Okay. Where are you going with this?
So, I'm saying now, I've seen this kind of come and go. I believe we've seen what this coaching staff and this team of the Buffalo Bills can do.
Yeah.
And I don't see them breaking through. And I think that they internally might believe it, but they're rolling with it again. There wasn't a massive improvement. They added a tight end in the draft, which doesn't mean anything because what if this guy doesn't study? Their defense got, I think, worse. And I think that people are figuring out Josh Allen a little bit. They're like, he is got one of the strongest arms in the NFL, but can also be inaccurate at times and throw interceptions in the red zone. I've seen only Herbert do it more, and I've seen maybe I'm trying to think who's made mistakes in clutch. Maybe Dax. You know what I mean? Yeah. I've watched Dax, but there's certain guys who like make these kind of mistakes. Like, you know who else did that? Phillip Rivers, a lot.
Exactly.
He would make interceptions in fourth quarter drives when he was going down field. You know who didn't do that? John Elway. Like it was like, you know who else didn't do that? Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? And you know who I believe is going to be as good as those guys is Burrow. I'm all in on Burrow.
Yes.
I think he's going to be the next. Burrow and Mahomes is for the next years, and I don't know for the rest of the guys. Could be a Lawrence, could be a Herbert, Could be a Tua if he got to healthy. Could be Lamar. It could be any of these guys. But I think Allen will be good. I think he will be good for years. But I also think that there is a very good chance that Allen could be this generation's Cam Newton. It's very
Cam Newton? I thought you were going to say Phillip Rivers.
I said that prior to last year. I said
Yeah.
he could be the Phillip Rivers who goes to the playoffs every year and only plays in one AFC championship.
Yeah.
I do think he could be that, but I also think it could even go more south for him, where he is an MVP candidate, but then he's going to start to get injured because he's throwing his body around too much, and that does catch up to you. I'm telling you this as a 38-year-old. And also, they're depending on him too much, and that was the thing that everybody in the media was saying, and they did nothing to address it.
Yeah.
They didn't add another superstar running back where it was like, why aren't you just adding a guy to just run the ball 25 times and then you also have him? But also, what the coaching staff lost their best defensive coordinator. They could argue that, he was part of the problem, but he took a leave of absence for some reason.
Yeah.
So they lost a big part of their coaching staff. I just see a major dip in them that they could still win the division, but I see something happen where, when we go into, who's going to maybe not make the playoffs that made the playoffs last year? I don't have them making the playoffs for this pick.
You don't have them making the playoffs at all?
I have the Jets getting the wild card.
I like it. I don't like the Jets, but I like the Bills not in the playoffs because of their strength of schedule on the road, and then they also their division got better. So they're losing.
Their division got better.
At least 3 games in their division.
Their division got better. They got to face the Jags. They got to face Cincinnati. They got to face Kansas City. They got to face Philly, New York, Dallas, and Washington. They got to face Miami twice, New York twice, Patriots twice. And I think everyone in the division easily could split. Yeah. All 4 teams could split. I think one of them could beat the Patriots twice. I do think the Patriots just... I think that this could be
what did you write down for the Patriots record?
I didn't write down a record. I just think that they don't win. I don't think they have a winning record. And I think that the biggest story of this year is what do we do with Belichick, because it's his 3rd year in a row with not a winning record. And I think that's huge. And I think all of a sudden that's the story going forward. I think that Bills coach could easily get fired because it's like, you had your run. Of course, yeah. You have a 5-year run. Listen, they've won the division 4 years in a row. They went to the AFC Championship. They lost in the AFC Championship 1 year. The next year, they lost in the division round. The last 2 years, they lost in the division round. They didn't make it to the championship game.
You're right, yeah.
So, but they made it to the AFC Championship 3 years ago, and then 4 years ago, they lost in the division round again. So it's like you do this run. It's like Monty Williams with Phoenix.
Yeah.
You have a team. You're in the playoffs every year, but we're not getting over that hump. You're out. And that's why I have McCarthy. I'm like, well, how long do you run with these teams that are just staying there? Like they did it to Andy Reid went 4 years in a row, and they're like, well, we've topped out. So I feel like the Bills topped out. I don't think Josh Allen tops out, but I think they come in with next year he's fired. They come in with a new team, a new organization. They rebuild around him. And then the Bills, I think he even could get his ring one day. But I just feel like we've seen what this coaching staff can do with the Bills. And it's not enough to get past Kansas City.
You think it's a coaching staff? Did they focus this offseason? They re-signed all their they're gonna have a great defense. They got a good defense.
But
Josh
they only have Kansas City.
He has 2 weapons. Maybe this guy Kincaid, but he has Gabe Davis and Diggs. That's it.
How about this? Put Josh Allen on Philly.
Oh, yeah.
The favorites to win Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Put Josh Allen on even Dallas. Way better team.
Yeah.
I would say better team just because he has Diggs. Way better team. Put Josh Allen in San Francisco.
Yeah.
They're not. Josh Allen in San Francisco's not running for 800 yards.
Oh, him in San Francisco? You mean he doesn't have to?
He doesn't have to.
Yeah,
he's running for 800 yards right now.
Because he has to.
No, he doesn't though. He doesn't have to.
He doesn't have.
Bro,
Gabe Davis is a good wide receiver. He's not a.
Bro, he doesn't have to. If you have a Pro Bowl running back, he doesn't have to do that. He's doing it because he's arguably the most competitive guy I've ever seen. He's got that Jordan-esque thing to him. Yeah. I love that. That's why I'm a big fan of Josh Allen. But he doesn't have to do what he does. He tries to take over the game. He doesn't need to. And you need a coach to be like, yo, we're going to work on you staying in the pocket, conserving you so you can play 15 years in the NFL and not 13. And then also hand the ball off because you got a Pro Bowler behind you like Saquon or Dalvin Cook or someone.
Well, you just described Burrow. That's what Burrow's situation is.
What?
There's a good coach that says, hey, we're going to stay in the pocket. We got a Pro Bowler behind you.
Yeah.
That's Burrow. So
Sure.
Josh Allen is just Burrow figured out.
No,
I mean, other way
Josh
around.
Josh Allen's a way better athlete.
But they both got that Jordan mentality. They both got big arms. They both are.
Yeah, but my whole thing is that's why the coaching staff and Bills aren't figuring this out. Like, what are you doing? Like, I mean, all of the sports shows are saying they're depending too much on Allen for the last 3 years. And all 3 off seasons, you didn't fucking take care of the running back room. Yeah. Oh, you're going to run back with your guys. They're fine. You don't have a superstar back there. You haven't done it. It's almost like my frustration goes to Miami. The last 3 years, there's been a right tackle problem. And we haven't addressed it with a superstar or a first-round pick. What are we doing? So then you bring in this old guy from New England today. So like, or they're moving. What?
Damian Harris?
No, they brought in a guy from New England that was like one of your top tackle picks.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, but to compete, but either way, the story is they're moving Robert Hunt, our guard, who panned out. He was a draft pick to a right tackle. So now we're going to still have a weak link in there, but I was just kind of frustrated that they didn't bring in someone for our right tackle position, which is less important as opposed to a running back situation that is clearly needed in Buffalo, where you need a game where you have to be able to win a Super Bowl. You have to be able to win a game where Josh Allen throws for 250. There's got to be a game where he can, Josh Allen threw for 250, we won. You got to have that.
Yeah, you're right.
And for me, that's a bigger problem. The reason New York, I know it's Aaron Rodgers, but there is something in the excitement of playing somewhere new. He's competitive. He is competitive. We've seen him yell at players. He's older, but he's got a great O-line. He's got great weapons. Solid he's got defense. A superstar wide receiver. They drafted a tight end, I believe. He's got 2 great running backs back there. The defense, I don't believe, is going to be as good as last year. It's so hard to consistently be good. I said this to you the other night. Yeah. I go, not even the Baltimore Ravens, who won the Super Bowl in 2001 with that team, was as good. And they were good, but they weren't as good. It's so hard to be like in basketball. There's dynasty runs. It's so hard to have a dynasty run for the reason of a specific scheme in football. Like the Patriots dynasty run was because of Tom Brady. It wasn't because their defense was good for 5 years in a row.
Yeah, but
so I have them. I don't see. Listen, they won 8 games with whatever crap they had at quarterback last year.
Yeah,
I got to give them 2 more wins. I got to put them at a 10-17. I can't. You'd be crazy to say that Aaron Rodgers isn't worth 2 wins with that good of a defense, that coach who's bought in, and those offensive weapons they have. Dude, that's all I'm saying.
I mean, Rodgers was a field goal away from losing to Bailey Zappi last year. Like
but that's why Green Bay's not even making the playoffs. They have no one over there. He's got
Aaron
way
Rodgers
better defense.
Didn't take over games at the end of the game. Aaron Rodgers,
he doesn't need to.
If they won against,
he's got the number 1 defense in the AFC right now.
So, but what you just said about the 01 Ravens, that was a great defense. Probably the best defense.
It's the greatest one ever.
But it was an older defense. They got. This is a young defense.
That's why I think they decline a little bit.
Because they're young?
Their decline
But the Jets are a young defense.
What?
The Jets are a young defense. So I'm saying their defense could be just as good.
It could be just as good. You're right.
Yeah.
But then you're supporting my argument that then they could even win the division.
I did.
That's what I'm saying. That defense was really good last year, but like they had, if they even had Tua this year, I'd put them to win. Like Aaron Rodgers is like, he had a bad year, but it was still a top 15 quarterback. He only needs to be a top 15 quarterback for them to make the playoffs, is what I'm saying.
But how many times have we done this with the Jets though? Is this the best Jets team we've seen since I've been alive?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I was actually, when they went to the 2 AFC championships in a row with Mark Sanchez, they had a good defense, but it was just like, what's his name? He was the coach. He was just really good.
Rex Ryan.
Yeah, he was really good, and then he lost them or something. But those teams were like, it was always like, how the fuck did they get to the AFC Championship? They made it to the playoffs, but nobody thought they were going to get to the AFC Championship. It was like the coaching strategy was really good that they got there, and it was like, I can't believe the Jets made it to the AFC Championship. They weren't supposed to.
Yeah.
Both times. The other team that was really good that I had seen from them for years was, Testaverde days against. But like the last time they were in the playoffs was with the Mark Sanchez. He wasn't great. It was just a game manager. But this team, the swag they have, everything about them. Do I hope they don't make the playoffs? Yes. I hate them the most in our division. And easily that could be flip-flopped with the Bills. But I think Aaron Rodgers, only has to be kind of good. And I think he's better than what Favre was at the time, and he doesn't turn the ball over as much as Favre did when Favre went there at the same exact time. And I just think that, listen, again, it all determines on what's going to happen going into this next division. I think is arguably one of the best divisions in football too, with Cincy and Baltimore and Cleveland and Pittsburgh.
But also with what you were just saying about the Bills, they'll be all right at running back, dude. I mean, they got Nyheim Hines basically got them.
That was kick returns
in the playoffs last year. You're right. But then they added Damian.
Them in the playoffs.
They added Damian Harris.
Okay.
And then they added Latavius Murray.
Okay.
And they added James. Well, they still have James Cook.
Just for options. No, none of those guys are going to take over the game. Is what they need. They need a fucking guy that he can be confident in to hand the ball off 25 times.
Uh-huh.
I would love to know the stat of how many times the Bills ran the ball more than 25 times, not Josh Allen. How many times have the Patriots, and even with Tom Brady, won a game where Tom Brady threw for 200 yards?
A lot. Yeah.
So how many times has Burrow had 400-yard games, but then a 200-yard game because Mixon blew up?
Yeah, you're right.
That's what I'm saying.
But okay.
The only thing that you could argue that is like, all right, Mahomes always has. Mahomes, even in the Super Bowl, it was like 250 yards passing. It wasn't a lot. It was like, dude, but you're dealing with Andy Reid, who draws up these plays. Bills have a defensive-minded coach. He's not an offensive guy.
Uh-huh.
So he's just depending on them to just win the game, and he's built an unbelievable defense that has kind of carried them too.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I just think that I've seen what Josh Allen. This is the same team for the fourth year in a row.
Okay.
We all have film on him. We all know how to. We know how to listen. How come he's not running all over the field like Justin Fields was?
Okay, but do you think if the Bills, you think the Bills are going to win 9 games, 10 games?
Yeah, they're right there.
Right there.
I think it's all right there. I think it's a very tight race between all of them, and I'm just giving the edge over Miami because I'm assuming this defense is going to be the best defense in the division. Because now you have Fangio, who you have a head coach. We have 2 head coaches right now.
You're right. People are starting to figure out McDaniel's offense, though.
How?
Teams are.
How?
I don't know how. It just says it right here.
But how do we know what the offense is going to be like this year?
Let me read this to you.
They also said they're going to run the ball 25 times a game.
I'll read this to you right here. It says, but do you really think the Patriots are going to be that bad?
Yeah.
They made additions.
A storyline. I think it's a storyline.
They made a bunch of big additions.
Yeah.
They got good running back. They already had.
Everybody made additions in that.
Ramondre Stevenson's a great running back.
But
they have
the Jets and Dolphins
added James Robinson. They added Juju. They had one of the best defenses in the league last year, and they have a better defense now. Mac Jones is going to hopefully get better.
If Mac Jones gets
25% better,
that's a big percentage to get better.
That's a big drop. He has to. You're 2 to 3. If you're a first round pick out of Alabama, you got to get that much better, right?
I mean, there's a lot of guys are first round picks now. First round picks are overrated now. Everybody picks quarterbacks because you have to.
So this is I was talking about last season, but it says the Dolphins largely feasted on mediocre teams early, though the wins over Baltimore and Buffalo.
Yeah, this is the last season article. Yeah.
It's this season about last season.
Yeah,
the Dolphins.
It happened against literally the Chargers.
And they faced tougher opponents during the final stretch. Teams seemed to catch up to Mike McDaniel's offense later in the season, and that could bleed into this season.
Yeah.
So that's what I was saying.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely picked up on what they were doing with Waddle and Tyreek, and their yardage per game went down a little bit. But, I mean, it picked up against Green Bay. Mm-hmm. And then the thing is, he didn't run it enough because he didn't have faith in the running back room or the O-line. The O-line was a big issue.
This guy
also
Devin Akani's fast.
What?
This guy Devin is fast.
Also, Armstead was banged up those last games of the season, didn't play. So, I mean, I think that they brought in a lot of running backs to compete. We don't know what's going to happen. Also, if they add in, if that Delvin Cook rumor is true. But either way, I think Mostert at the end of the year was like, we want to run the ball. And it was agreed upon that there's going to be it's going to be a big running game and more to a quarterback that is a game manager. Where they were trying to make Tua throw for 5,000 yards. Yeah. Which, assuming he doesn't get hurt, he was going to be thrown for a lot, which is like, you don't need to do that. You have the weapons to scare this, to open up a good running game. Who knows?
Second hardest schedule this year.
I hate that. I hate the whole fucking who has the hardest. It's so stupid. It's the dumbest thing that they hype up every year. Because it's like every division has the same exact schedule except for 2 games. There's only 2 games that are not different. Patriots, Bills, Dolphins, and Jets have the same exact schedule except for 2 games. We play the second place team in the other divisions, and the Bills play the first. You guys play the last.
The thing about that
You know what I
is
mean?
the Bills play a lot of those games on the road, those tougher games, and the Patriots got Eagles at home. Thank God.
Yeah.
They could sneak
The one
at home.
advantage we have is one of our road games is in Germany. So it's a neutral game. And
Against
guess
who?
who it's against? The Chiefs.
Chiefs. Nice.
It's big.
Yeah, that's a huge game.
It's a huge game. So it's like, oh, we don't have to play in Kansas City.
Yeah. You're right. That's
so,
huge.
I mean, Buffalo, regardless of where they play, I mean, I just think that everybody knows what they are.
Yeah.
We don't know exactly what McDaniel is going to do. This is his second year. And it's Tua's first time with a 2-year offense in his career.
You're right.
And Tyreek and Waddle. So it's like we don't know necessarily if it runs the same as last year or if it runs differently. We know exactly how the Bills' offense is going to run. We don't even know how the Jets' offense is going to run. It's going to be totally different. It's wide open.
But
it's going to be you're with arguably another. Is this guy a top 5 quarterback of all time? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm betting. You want me to bet on Mac Jones over Rodgers? You're out of your mind.
Okay, but I think Miami has a great team, but I do think they're kind of in the same situation as like the Cowboys. If it doesn't work out, do they blow it up?
I mean, yeah, they're clearly all in.
There's a lot of pressure.
They're clearly. I don't think they blow it up. I think that they have a young team. I think
they have a young team, but a lot of guys you got to pay.
If
too.
it doesn't,
you got Ramsey, Hill, you got all these egos.
Well, Hill's under contract for 2 after this season, 2 more years. It's all in there, anyways. You don't.
What about Waddle?
He's saying he's going to retire. Waddle is a 5th-year option.
Yeah.
So we have 3 more years before we have to deal with that.
2 more.
This will be his 3rd year.
No, that was his second year last year?
Yeah.
I thought it was his 3rd.
No, this will be his 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year.
Okay.
All right? Holland, 2nd-round pick. We would have to pay him in 2 years because he's a 2nd-round pick. There's no 5th-year option. Jalen Phillips, 5th-year option. You have to pay him. But we'll worry about that then.
Yeah.
Right now, that's a team where, listen, if it doesn't work out, we know why it doesn't work out. It's because of quarterback position.
I guess it seems like you got to figure out the quarterback after this year.
But then,
right?
yes. But
So
then
do you
we'll
draft
know
it?
that
Okay.
then it's a plug and play. It's
Uh-huh.
like, what vet wants to come play? You know what I
Right.
mean? Like a win now situation. I think it's a win now for the next 2 years, unless something crazy happens.
So week 8, Tua gets hurt. What do you do? Like realistically, what do you think?
Either the rumor about Brady or you have Mike White and he could run the offense.
Okay.
There's something that they brought. Why did they bring me Mike White?
Mike White's like a Fitzgerald or Fitzpatrick, huh?
I guess I saw he played good and he was clearly playing better than Wilson and the team was behind him wearing the t-shirts and shit.
Yeah.
I thought if anything it's crazy that they let him go.
Yeah.
But I guess the egos. You got to understand these GMs have egos. They don't want to let go of Wilson because it cost them their job eventually.
Uh-huh.
If you fucking miss on a first or second overall pick?
Who? With
Wilson.
Oh yeah, second.
Literally, that's what they can be. Well, listen, you fucked up with the quarterback. We
Yeah.
brought in Aaron Rodgers. You didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You're fired.
You're right.
You're fucking fired.
Well, that's the same thing with the Niners too. That's why I think they're going to go with Trey
But
Lance.
that-
they're going to go because did you see them when they drafted Trey Lance?
But
Their owner, I've never seen an owner and a GM talk so highly of somebody.
I understand that, but my argument with that is if you do that, but yet you still get to go to the playoffs like they did with this team, it's like whatever. It balances each other out. It's different if you didn't make the. You still have one of the best teams, and what if all of a sudden Darnold turns out to be your franchise quarterback? Who cares that you gave up 3 first-round picks? You gave up 3 first-round picks to find out who was going to be your franchise quarterback. What does it matter? You got your guy, whether it was Darnold or Purdy. It's a win.
Yeah.
So yeah, you gave up all those draft capital, but essentially all that had to happen for you to find Purdy.
Yeah.
So think about it like that's
okay.
how I look at it like this. Whereas New York, it's like, listen, if Aaron doesn't work, and then he stays here for 2 years, it doesn't work again. Although it seems like this is scripted that Aaron stays there this year.
Yeah.
Doesn't work out. Minnesota doesn't pan out with Cousins. He's out. And Rodgers goes to Minnesota. And it's the same script as Favre. And he goes, fuck you, Green Bay. And goes to the NFC Championship with the fucking Vikings.
That would be sick.
It just
That'd be
seems
awesome. Yeah.
like why listen, this is
Dude,
this is
Justin
Cousins
Jefferson,
last year.
That'd be awesome.
This is Cousins last year, and this is 1 year contract for fucking Rodgers.
Yeah.
He's a free agent. He's like, yo, bring me to Minnesota. Like,
It's a 1 year contract?
Because he's
or
on the
two
same
with-
contract from Green Bay.
Okay,
So I
Yeah.
believe he has the option to leave after this year or retire.
you're right.
I believe. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. But anyways, we still didn't even get to the second division.
Yeah, but I think we have
Since
a lot to talk
gotta
about
go
with this one.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, 11-6, and then I got the Ravens in the playoffs as well.
Me too.
Yeah,
We don't know about the Browns. I just don't know about the Browns.
or the
And the
a lot of
Steelers
these
are
Bleacher Report has the Steelers doing really like winning 10 games. I don't
understand.
I think this can be their first. I think it'll be 8-9, not terrible, but this is their first under 500 season with Tomlin. I think.
I don't know. I can't jump on. I can't. I don't know. I just don't know. You want me to bet on the Steelers? So you want me to bet on Pickett, Rodgers, Tua?
Exactly.
Like I'm picking Tua and Rodgers over Pickett.
Then you got the West
make the-
too.
you know
That's
what
why
I
the
mean? Yeah,
Steelers,
I
and,
just don't
Steelers
see
and
them
Browns.
as a
No
playoff team.
Yeah, no.
You want me to bet on Pickett over Lamar, who I think he seems like a good guy. He wants to prove he deserves this contract.
I think if he stays healthy, he's going to win MVP this year. Lamar.
Why not again?
Yeah.
Why not again? Because he's doing double.
Yeah.
And same with Hurts. You're gonna watch. There could be a how amazing of a story for the NFL if you have Hurts and Lamar 1 and 2 for MVP or even
Yeah.
co-MVPs. They haven't done that for like 20 years
That'd be
since
sick.
like McNair and Manning. But still, like two guys that are running the ball and passing the ball, and it just shows the transition of what this league is going into.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, for instance, if Tua's not a guy who's going to be a 10-year guy, like a Steve Young guy for us, I want a mobile guy. It's what the league has become
Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
that can do both. And then the worst division probably in all of the NFL outside of the NFC. Both Souths are bad,
Yeah.
but you got to be excited about the Jags and Lawrence. So
Yeah.
I think we both agree there.
They're going to be one of those teams that you were talking about earlier, like the Jets. Like, how'd they get to the AFC Championship? They'll be in the AFC Championship probably
They could
twice
because
in
of
the next 5
matchups.
years.
They
Yeah.
could. Lawrence seems like could easily look. They get that home win. They're playing a wild card. They're only 2 wins away from the AFC Championship.
Yeah.
And then you don't know who they get matched up to. Someone gets upset. You know,
Yeah.
if they're home, depending on their record. Listen, they easily could go 6-0 in their division. That means they only have to win 6 other games.
And they
That means out of 11 games, if they go 6-5 outside of their division, they arguably have a top 2 record in the AFC.
You're right. Yeah.
So think about how easy their path is.
I had them at 10-7. They were
They should
9-8
win 11
last year.
games.
They were 9-8 last year, and they started off like 0-5.
They won like 7 in a row or something.
at the end of the year. Yeah.
All right,
I
let's
think-
get to the West, and then we can wrap up here. I mean, obviously, I don't even have to ask you. We know who's winning the division.
Yeah, but
You have to put them there.
yes,
Even if you think something's going to happen, you have to have them there.
I do think Herbert is gonna have a huge year. I think he's gonna be top 3 MVP. I think 11-6
You're
11.
high on Herbert.
High on the Chargers this year, dude. High on them.
So you have him winning the division?
No, I have him I have him going to the playoffs.
Me too. I
And
have Casey and Chargers.
Yeah, that's why this
Just
AFC
because
is
they
so
added,
tough.
they
Dude.
added what's his name
That's
too
why you
as a
can't put
coordinator.
anybody else in the North.
I'm
East.
not high on. Listen, I think Denver is extremely better.
Yeah.
They won 5. They got. I think we have another 8-9, 9-8 situation
Yes.
with Denver and Oakland, or sorry,
Las
Vegas.
I have
I just don't. I don't have.
this might be a little optimistic for I think it's going to be a similar division to the East. I think
Yeah,
they're going to
me
beat
too.
up on each other a
Me
lot.
too.
I think the Raiders and Broncos. I don't think
I don't
either of
think
those teams will make
anyone
the
bombs.
playoffs. But I don't think Raiders or Broncos make the playoffs. But I think those teams are kind of like the Patriots, where they're at like 9-8, 8-9.
I don't
and
think
they're in
anyone
the hunt
bombs.
in week 16.
Yeah,
still, you
I
know?
don't think anyone bombs. I
Yeah.
think. Listen, there's got to be 4 bombs. There's always 4 bombs a year.
In the conference.
Yeah, usually there's 4 bombs. There's 16 teams. 12 teams are relatively in the race. There's 4 bombs. I think Houston's the easy bomb.
Well, 3 in that division, dude, could bomb.
Well, I mean, but the Titans have a good. They could. But the Titans, I seem like
I have the
they're
Colts
there.
over the Titans. Dude.
What?
I have the Colts winning one more game than the Titans.
I mean,
Anthony Richardson, dude, he could be the truth.
he could be, but he could also be a late bloomer. I just feel like either way, that's 3 teams that are relatively. I don't see. I would put them under 7 wins.
Oh yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
have them all. Yeah, 6.
And then I have
4.
to have a bomb. I would. I'm sorry. I have the Patriots bombing.
You
Could
do,
be wrong.
but
I just think that's the storyline this year of them saying like, what are we doing in New England? Does he step away? He's 1 year away after this year from Shula's record.
you
do they let
you
him keep
love
going?
this storyline, dude. And you're talking to me about being biased. I think I was pretty fair with everything.
But listen, I tell
but you
everyone,
love this, and not just only you. You like the Max Kellermans of the world. They've been talking bad about the Patriots for years, and they say this every year, just in case. And you think this is the year it's finally going to happen.
2 years in a row. 2 years in a row, two losing records.
They've never bombed, dude. They're not going to bomb.
They haven't bombed yet, but this is setting up.
It's not going to get worse than the situation with Cam Newton and that whole.
I don't know.
It's not going to get worse than that.
They've already
they didn't bomb that year.
They've already talked about how they don't even know who's the starting. The rumors about trading Mac. It's not.
They're building a team like the Niners, dude. They're building a team like they don't need.
Seems like
a big quarterback.
Zeppy might be the starter for Week 1.
I hope
listen.
So.
Like I said to everyone that watches my channel, I watch 3 shows the most. All right, I watch NBC's Pro Football Talk with Mike Florio and Chris Sims. I watch Rich Eisen, and I watch Pat McAfee. And I gather what they say, and I form my own opinion.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
I do that.
From what I'm hearing from those 3 shows and what I see, because I watch them play 2 times a year, and I obviously know what goes on in my own division, I think I'm betting on them. I don't think they're bombing and going 4-13. No, he's never going to go 4-13. He's like Tomlin, but I have them. They could easily be a 7-11 team, a 7-10 team.
I don't think they're winning less than 8 games.
That's fine. That's fine, and I hope you're right for your sanity, but I don't feel good about them. And I would rather the Jets be the worst team in the division. I hate them. Out of all the teams in the NFL, I hate the Jets the most.
Okay, but let's see.
But I just don't have the Jets bombing. I have them, even when Favre went to the Jets, when he left Green Bay, guess what? They went 8-8.
Yes.
So they still were 8-8, and Favre's not as good as Aaron Rodgers, and that team wasn't as good.
Well, let's see this. Wait, are we only doing 1 preseason game this year?
I don't know. Is that true?
That's for the Patriots. That's what it says.
That's great.
So let's say the Patriots split with everybody.
No, there should be 2 at least. What do you mean?
That's what it says for the they just play the Texans in the preseason.
Let me see.
I mean, yeah, dude, this could be a tough schedule for the Patriots, but they got
still 3.
Oh.
Maybe they haven't decided yet. All right, let's wrap up. I gotta go. Okay.
Okay.
You got final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Patriots have a tough schedule. I think they'll split with the all the East teams, and I think they'll beat like the Steelers. I think they'll beat the Commanders. I think they'll beat they could beat the Saints. I think maybe they could even beat the fucking
we'll
Colts.
See. We'll
they beat the Colts and the Broncos.
We'll see.
And the Raiders.
That's what's fun about the schedule. You just never know who's going to be good. But, guys, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week. And keep watching, and we'll go Heat and go Panthers. Hell yeah. And go Bruins and go Celtics. Sorry about the Bruins.